All right. I see my other man in the background, Dimistri Lascaris. Dimistri Lascaris, there we are. He is a lawyer, journalist, activist, Montreal, Quebec. He is also host of Reason to Resist. And I would add this other part, in 2020, ran for the leadership of the Green Party in Canada. How you doing, Dimistri? You doing okay this morning?
Well, we have some troubling news this morning. The news actually dates from Monday.
Yeah.
You may have already mentioned this. I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but Laith Marouf has been detained by the Lebanese army.
Yes, so I have mentioned it. It was the first thing I opened up the show with. And I'm talking with the gentleman he was with at 10 o'clock, actually, to give a rundown of what was taking place. Yeah, that's outrageous.
Yeah.
That's outrageous. We still don't know what's going on with him. We still don't know where he is. They lost contact with him at 1 a.m. Being a journalist is no longer defense.
Yeah, I've been through, with Laith, and the gentleman I think you're going to interview must be Hadi.
Yes.
Hadi Kotate.
Yes.
We passed through many checkpoints in the south of Lebanon over the last 22 months, and it's always a dicey proposition, but this never happened before. I'm not a Lebanese national either.
Yeah.
And sometimes they let me in, and sometimes they don't let me into South Lebanon, but always they just let us, drive away.
Describe this checkpoint, because I don't have a mental image of this. I've been through checkpoints in certain parts of Bethlehem, but that was like on a bus. That wasn't like just 2 or 3 people. And even in Egypt, when I've gone through checkpoints, I didn't think anything of it. This is stupid American, just kind of sitting in the back while my drivers talk to the guards.
Yeah.
I paid no attention to it at all. What is it like in Lebanon, though? I mean, this is
to get anywhere in South Lebanon, on the beaten path, shall we say, and not off the beaten path. You can get into South Lebanon, and once we did that, because we couldn't get through a checkpoint, we did it by crossing a river in an SUV. But
are you serious?
Yeah, I mean, it was a shallow river. It's the Litani, which flows through South Lebanon.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the demarcation point of the area that Israel has been trying to conquer for a long time, the Litani River. So there are points at which you can drive across it, but that only happened once. On all other occasions, we either encountered a checkpoint that wasn't manned by the Lebanese army, but usually they are manned and they're permanent. They're like concrete structures there, and there's a soldier standing in a hut, by the road, and they always speak in Arabic, so I don't understand what they're saying, but generally we have to produce our passports or, a national identity card, which I don't have because I'm not Lebanese. And there's some discussion, and sometimes you can sit there and wait for 5 minutes. Sometimes it's immediate. Sometimes you can sit there and wait for 45 minutes and get questioned extensively. But I've never been involved in or know a journalist personally who was taken away by the Lebanese army. So this is new. I'm sure it may well have happened before. I'm just not aware of it. But, Laith is, as I've discussed with him, operating in a very dangerous environment because he is an outspoken critic, not only of the Lebanese government led by Joseph Aoun, but he's also an outspoken critic, and I mean outspoken, of the Gulf autocracies that exercise enormous influence over the Lebanese government, have a lot of leverage over the Lebanese government.
Yes.
And, as you know, comrade, Laith doesn't pull his punches.
He freaks me out. He freaks me out. I mean, I like some of those reporting that he's done where he's been shot at by the Israelis. The areas to which he operates in and comes back with reporting on it, that stuff feels very dicey. And you can tell he's in danger. And it freaks me out. It royally freaks me out.
Yeah.
I just hope he's okay. And I hope this is a documents issue as opposed to a political issue, if that makes sense.
Well, taking him away for a few days, I think we're now into a political issue. Hard to imagine that this is just a documents issue. I mean, they were aware whatever documents issue they found, they were aware of it already. so this has been for a whole bunch of reasons. I could say that with confidence that the Lebanese authorities have known exactly what Laith's immigration status is for months, and this never happened to him. So
Laith is a Syrian citizen. He's not Lebanese.
he's a Syrian and Canadian citizen, and that's actually where I came to know Laith. He lived in Montreal for many years.
I see.
And in Palestinian solidarity circles, we crossed paths, became friends. And he's also a citizen of, he's of Palestinian origin, but he's a citizen of Syria and Canada. And frankly, Canada's government has a very, shall we say, a dicey relationship with Laith. So
Yes.
I've urged Canadians to call their member of parliament and ask them to intervene. But, I frankly have little confidence that the Canadian government is going to help here.
God, man, I don't like hearing this.
Yeah.
Laith has been a really good friend of the show. As you said, he has been outspoken. He has been fearless in his journalistic pursuits. Oh, God. And yeah, Heidi thought that he was going to get arrested also. And when I spoke to him a little bit earlier, he said, this is no longer an issue, or at the very least, they told him they're not looking for him. And so the catch becomes, okay, so were they waiting for Laith? Were they looking for Laith?
Yeah. Well, Heidi works for Press TV, which is the Iranian state broadcaster.
Right.
And, which is obviously a backer of Hezbollah. And the Lebanese government is under intense pressure from the U.S. government. I don't know if Laith had an opportunity to tell you this last time he was on your program, but they're basically telling the U.S. emissary to Lebanon is telling the Lebanese government led by Joseph Aoun that if you don't disarm Hezbollah, then we are going to basically have sick our Syrian dogs on you.
Yeah.
And you're just going to become an appendage of this new Wahhabi entity in Syria. So Hadi not only works for the Iranian state broadcaster, but he's also, his journalism for years has been sympathetic to the resistance in Lebanon, right? So, he too may well be in the crosshairs. Who knows?
Well, he did say that apparently he checked and they weren't looking for him, fortunately, thankfully.
Right.
But yeah, you can imagine that's unnerving. You stop at a checkpoint, they'd say, hey, we need you to get out the car and come with us.
Yeah.
And it's like, where am I going? You'll see when you get there.
Yeah,
like
it's been 3 days,
Yeah, and it's been days. That's the other part. Like, it's one thing if, you go to an office, you fill out a form and you're out. This has been days. I know nothing about the Lebanese, judicial system. I don't know what they're holding him on. Like, I don't even know if Heidi knows at this point. I know Heidi says he's continuously checking, just to try to get information. But I don't know who could even get information in a system like this. Like, I don't know how this works at all, by any stretch of the imagination, especially since it's not the police, it's the military that decided to do it, which makes it even grayer. Like, I don't even know if the military is functioning under any kind of, let's say, domestic political law. Yeah, I don't know, man. When I found out about it, my mom sent me somebody put a notice under one of my videos. And my mom hit me up and said, hey, have you seen this? And I immediately sent him a message, didn't get a response. I sent Heidi a message, got a response back from him. And I asked him to come on to basically give a breakdown of what happened. Mm-hmm. And I suspect it's the way he explained it before. They pulled into a checkpoint. They pulled him out of the car. They gave him some reason for why they're detaining him. And at that point, he was disappeared. And what freaks me out about this? It puts me in mind of Gonzalo Lira. And that's the thing that scares the shit out of me. Because I remember when, Gonzalo Lira was the one in Ukraine, and they kept going after him. Like, they kept arresting him over and over again. Thankfully, this is the first time that Laith got arrested like this. But it's just what's in my mind, because it's the thing I remember as a journalist in a foreign country getting arrested. And it's the link that I have in my mind. It's the thing that's freaking me out. It's giving me a bit of anxiety. Yeah. But Hadi will give, I guess, a breakdown of what he knows up to this point. And if he knows anything else, hopefully he will be out soon. Yeah.
And Canadians out there watching, again, we need to pressure the Canadian government to intervene here. and figure out what even though it may be a challenge to get the Canadian government to act, if you're listening and you're Canadian, please call your MP and tell them, the Canadian government needs to make immediate inquiries with Lebanese authorities about Laith's whereabouts.
You said he has a challenging relationship with the Canadian authorities.
Mm-hmm. He was a when he was in Montreal until a few years ago. He was an expert in broadcasting law. So in this country, we have something called the CRTC, which regulates the media and televisions and so forth. And he represented various. He basically ran an NGO that was responsible for ensuring that the Canadian broadcasting regulatory system was fair and equitable in its coverage of Indigenous groups, other racial groups, and marginalized groups. And he did great work in that regard, but he was also quite a harsh critic of the Canadian government and political and business elites in this country in the course of doing that work. But more than anything, it was his advocacy for Palestinians. He was involved in a huge controversy here in Montreal when Netanyahu came to speak at one of the universities in Montreal. And he was basically forced, this is about 20 years ago now, Netanyahu was forced to cancel the speech, and there was a huge protest and on bordering upon riots when Netanyahu was scheduled to speak. So Laith was one of the leaders in the attempts, successful attempts to ensure that Netanyahu was not allowed to flap his gums to an audience at a Canadian university. And ever since then, he's been in the crosshairs of the Zionist lobby in this country. He's like one of the most detested people by the Canadian Zionist, arena. So
he's been doing God's work. It's like Hitler, a Nazi hates you. Okay, put that on my gravestone, right? It's like Nazis hate
said it better. It's exactly what it is. The Nazis hate Laith. Yes.
Yeah, the Nazis hate me. I want that on my gravestone. The Nazis hate my guts. Period. That's
badge of honor, man. Badge of honor.
Yeah, that's the thing I want to be known for, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. It's just shocking. It's like you talk to somebody for so long, and then all of a sudden something like this happens, and it puts you in mind of the territory that you're operating in. I mean, this is nowhere near comparable, but it was weird to me that the U.S. government took action in order to get rid of my network. That's bizarre. The government is like this faceless entity from the way that we look at that stuff. It's just this thing behind the scenes. And yet this thing behind the scenes is moving to do something to stop you from doing something that you're doing. It's not like, the cops are stopping you from robbing a store. You're just doing your job. And you get this entity. I remember I believe I was going to Malaysia, if I'm not mistaken. I was on vacation. And I saw Blinken come out and say, we are passing sanctions against the networks of RT and Sputnik, the parent companies. And I'm sitting there like, whoa, what the hell does that mean? And I hit my boss. I'm like, hey, what does this mean? He was like, we have no idea. And then at that point, the lawyers were very surly about the whole thing. Like, hey, man, you got to talk to your lawyers. It's like, dude, we're talking to our lawyers, but that is pretty vague. What does it mean? And it took a while. Like, I think RT went up in smoke almost immediately. Our boss had always told us that they would have to physically pull the cord out of the socket before he shuts down. And that's effectively what happened. I mean, we did our show, I believe it was September 15th. And they said, by the way, this is the last show. And that was it. It just stopped. Mm-hmm. That is nowhere near.
That was a huge deal. Yeah, people. I was shocked that happened.
It's just weird. Like it's very bizarre. It feels like something is out to get you.
Yeah.
And that is not even like something is out to physically get you and throw you in a cage in the way that is taking place for Laith. It's just very strange when you have this overarching thing that is praying in the background, trying to find something in which to trip you up on or catch you on. That is not the same thing as losing your physical freedom, especially when you don't know what is taking place. But God, man, it's an awkward, strange feeling. So
yeah,
I just hope he's doing well. You did a video, and you said we are run by monsters, and you was like, "This is my rant for today." And I'm feeling that, Rant. Dig into that just a little bit for the audience. We're run by monsters. And I love the term that you use, monsters, because I use that term myself. I think these people are maniacs. Explain why you said that. And I know you're talking from a Canadian context, but it's not just Canada.
Well, there are a whole range of reasons why I said it, but the immediate one that caused me, by the way, I periodically do these things. They're called rants of the week, where I just have to unload. Yeah. I find them very cathartic. And so I don't know how educational they are, but it allows me to breathe and relax afterwards. I calm down. So I got it.
I was feeling it. I tell you that much.
So, the immediate cause, there's so many reasons why I believe that with every fiber of my being that we're ruled by monsters, is the fact that we are now seeing people dropping dead in the streets of the Gaza Strip. Yes. And they're still sending weapons to Israel. It has been almost 2 years, Jamaral, 2 years of the most public genocide in human history. And every manner of atrocity has been inflicted by Israel, this Western-backed rabid attack dog, on the civilian population of Gaza. They put 17 rounds of sanctions on the Russians and still have not imposed a meaningful sanction on even the 2 men who have been indicted by the International Criminal Court. Not even those 2 have been sanctioned. Only a small number of states have sanctioned Smotrich and Ben-Gvir, and they used the sanctions like toilet paper. And since then, Israel's behavior has become worse. So if you are it is unquestionably a Nazi regime, Israel. But every one of its crimes is being enabled by the monsters who rule us.
Yes.
Every one of them. And they don't care. They don't care how many children, how many emaciated, skeletal babies we see. Nothing will cause these people to exercise the enormous leverage they have over this pipsqueak of an evil country. Nothing will cause them to do that. And in the meantime, they're lecturing the whole world about international law, human rights, and democracy in places like Russia and Iran and China and North Korea. I don't know what else to say other than that these people themselves have to be Nazis in order to facilitate and enable. It's not simply that they're allowing it to happen. They're making it happen. Right. They're providing the weapons. They're providing the intelligence. They provide the military fuel. They provide economic aid. They provide the political cover. They provide the legal protection in places like the ICC. They're doing everything they can to enable this genocide. How are they not monsters? How can we not see that they are monsters? And if they succeed, if they get away with it, this is the point I really tried to make in that rant. Because for me, the Palestinian people, the fact that they're humans is in and of itself enough reason to be completely outraged by what is happening, doing whatever we can to stop this.
Right.
Citizens of Western countries that are enabling it. But if that doesn't move you, the fact that they're humans, consider what these monsters are going to do if they get away with this to us and to our kids and to the little that remains of democracy in our countries. We see it slipping away now. Already they're taking away, like when they shut down, RT and Sputnik. They're taking away our freedom of the press. They're taking away our right to protest. They're throwing people in jail for criticizing, a genocidal regime and its backers. We will descend rapidly, and I fear, and I hope to hell I'm wrong, that we will descend rapidly into outright fascism if we allow them to get away with this genocide.
One of the things I tell my mom, and she hates it when I say it, but it is true, that human life doesn't matter in international politics. That when they're looking at something they want to accomplish, it's just an objective. And the people who are going to be at the worst end of that just don't matter. I haven't seen any evidence that said that the people do matter. I mean, if there's a political reason where it's like, oh my God, Russia is killing people in mass. They kill one person after firing 500 drones. It's like, okay, is that really mass? You said 500 drones, multiple Kim Jong missiles, multiple all of this stuff, and you hit one person, and you think to yourself, that is hard to do, even if you were trying to do it. And yet Israel is out there. You're having people who are literally starving to death on their feet. I can show you video after video of people starving to death. A guy walking away with his hands raised, getting shot in the back. I can show you the BBC, I think it was BBC broadcast, where they were pointing out that the people were waving white flags and Israel opened fire and open up tank rounds on the population that was starving trying to get food. And this is every day after day after day. And then they would say, I know, man, but those Russians killed that one person. It's like, okay.
Unbelievable. They think we're gonna fall for this shtick now. They're gonna lecture us about human decency. I mean, it's almost like they're mocking us when they invoke international law, human rights, and democracy. It's like, really, they're giving us the middle finger. Do they still believe that anybody in the population buys this crap anymore after what we witnessed? You know, it's just.
I said before, I don't believe there's international law. I don't believe it exists. I just don't. I don't know how. And I've had people make this argument and say, well, dude, there has to be some kind of benchmark. And it's like, yeah, but if you have countries flagrantly violating that benchmark constantly, how can you say it exists? At least that's the way I see it.
Yeah. It's gone now. You know, I think it actually did have what I would call a persuasive effect on a number of governments around the world for a while, for much of the post-World War II period. It wasn't like a break on their behavior. It was a mitigating factor. They would try to behave in ways that they could plausibly claim complied with international law. So it moderated their behavior. Not some states didn't give a damn, of course. Israel never gave a damn. U.S. government never gave a damn. But there were states around the world that actually tried to model their behavior in accordance with international law, as imperfectly as they did it. Now, no one, I think, after what we've seen, Jamarl, is even moderating their behavior. We've just completely nullified any positive impact that international law was having and these international tribunals were having. I mean, what they've done to the ICC in particular, right? You know, Karim Khan goes in there. He did the absolute bare minimum, the chief prosecutor. He waited months and months, was dotting his I's and crossing his T's, and finally he indicts 2 people. Finally, under immense pressure, and they then destroyed Karim Khan. The man, they come after him with, you know, I don't know whether these sexual harassment allegations are well-founded or not, but I think we can say confidently, whatever the merits of the allegations may be against Karim Khan, the reason that they were dredged up now was because the Israelis and the Americans have decided to destroy Karim Khan and the institution of the ICC itself. The sanctions they have imposed, according to people inside the ICC, have ground its work to a halt, not just in case of Israel, but all the investigations they're doing. Like, they can't function with these punishing sanctions on them. And now we have the story of this guy who was acting on behalf of the Israeli government, this British Israeli lawyer, Kaufman, I believe was his name, telling Karim Khan that if you indict anybody else, you will be destroyed. You know, and where is Karim Khan today? He's out of the position, at least temporarily. So, yeah, no, I think international law is dead as a doornail. I'm sad to say.
Yeah, in fact, they went after his bank account. They apparently told him, Europeans, by the way, the criminal court is not for effectively whites. It's for those targets in Africa. Like, you don't supposed to be going after people who we care about. Basically, it's the rules-based order type thing. And even the thing on Putin, where they were like, we're going after Putin because Putin is taking kids out of a war zone. It's like, okay, are you serious right now? This is what you're really using this for? Like, it has been politicized in such a degree. It's like, okay, so you're going to go after African dictators. Great. But the U.S. invaded a country, got 1 million people killed, and the president was bragging about torturing people. But no, we can't do that. Like, meaning big states do what they want. And I don't know how you have a government or this kind of how you can have international law when there's no Leviathan in order to push one way or the other. I don't know. It just didn't make sense to me. I'm curious on something else. Do you think Israel's going to get away with this?
No, I don't. I think we're seeing the impacts now on Israel of its Nazi behavior.
Explain.
The economy is being pummeled. There are people fleeing the country. I get reports every day. I have family and you know, colleagues in Cyprus, for example. Israelis are flooding into Cyprus, buying up everything in sight. I've covered this on my own program. They're coming into Greece, you know, where I have a second home. I'm encountering Israelis everywhere in Greece. So they're fleeing the country. I think there was a report that just came out recently done by Israeli economists. I was watching somebody who had actually read the report himself, an economist, and he said that according to them, if they lose 10% of the most talented people in the Israeli tech sector, that is going to basically be a death knell for Israel. Those people, they're already they're already challenged to find, before the genocide began, they were challenged to find sufficient qualified people to operate, the tech companies in the country, which are an essential part of the economy, but also, the tech companies are intimately involved in the military-industrial complex in Israel and ensuring that the military does the evil things that it does. So they were saying, these economists, Israeli economists, if just 10% of these people leave, we're done. I think there's a high probability at this stage that you're going to see the most mobile people in the Israeli economy, who include, of course, the most talented tech workers, flee the country in droves, because it's been demonstrated beyond a shadow of a doubt that Israel can't keep its people safe. I mean, if you have the option of living in New York City, you're like a highly capable tech worker, or living in a country that's in a constant state of war, a tiny little country, and that can now be basically flattened or at least severely damaged by Iran, whose people are extremely angry with you. The whole region is seething with anger with you. You have now this so-called reformed terrorist in charge in Damascus. There are atrocities happening right across the border, all around you. And you can go live in New York or San Francisco or some other part of California in Silicon Valley and make a high income. Are you really going to stay there? A lot of people, I think, are going to choose the more secure option, or you could go live in Western Europe. A lot of the people there have this option. They are highly, highly mobile. So there's that. There's the fact that there is absolutely no there's no sympathy for Israel anymore in the global South at all. Not that there was much. We just had the positive development of 12 states at part of the Hague Group, all from the global South, coming together and collectively deciding on July 16th that they're going to impose an arms embargo on Israel. They are going to ensure that Israeli war criminals who come into their jurisdiction are held accountable in their domestic courts. They are going to prevent military fuel and other dual-use goods from being transported through their countries to Israel. And they've opened up their commitment, these 12 states, for others to join. There were actually 30 states at this summit that was held, right, which including China, Indonesia, a huge country. So I think the momentum is growing for collective action against Israel. Israel is extremely vulnerable to sanctions, unlike Russia. Israel is like I said, it's a pipsqueak of a country. It has very little in the way of natural resources. It's very difficult to defend. Russia had this gigantic economy, incredible resources at its disposal, and a highly educated population. They managed to weather that storm. And they did so, by the way, with the support of the world's largest economy, that of the People's Republic of China, right? Israel doesn't, it doesn't have those resources. You cut off or diminish aid from the West, it's done. It is done like dinner. And I think smart people in Israel understand this, how vulnerable it is now. So the international contempt for what Israel has done and how it conducts itself, the outrage that is being experienced around the world is in and of itself a reason why Israel will eventually collapse. And then you have the fact that Israel is clearly militarily vulnerable. And, they couldn't even defeat Ansar Allah. So this is a country that's in serious, serious trouble.
Well, they have the ability to shoot dangerous babies in the back.
They're really good.
Yeah, they're extraordinarily proficient at that, right? But when it comes to, it's like, have you ever been hit by a man in anger? It's like you're dealing with a peer, and it's not just a peer, a country that can actually destroy you, wallop you in real terms. Okay, well, that's different, right? I mean, they immediately backed down and went back to attacking Hezbollah, who would not fire a shot in anger, bombing Syria, who would not fire a shot in anger, and murdering women and children in Gaza. And of course, there are gangs of dogs in the West Bank murdering people and killing people. So it's like the moment they went up against an actual country, it's almost as if, hey, man, we're so awesome. Look how we shoot these babies in the back. Let's go after Iran. And it's like, don't do it. Don't do it. Mm-hmm. But they're going to do it again anyway. That's the wild part. Meaning everything that you just said is true. That you're talking about a damaged economy. You're talking about a country that realizes now that they're vulnerable in a way that they never realized that they were vulnerable. I mean, for God's sake, they were living in sewers and bunkers for nearly the entirety of that war. Because every time Iran fired a shot, it usually hit its target in some particular fashion. And that is with the US, Britain, Saudi Arabia, Jordan. That's with all of these countries helping, trying to knock down Iranian missiles. And even still, they were getting through over and over and over and over again. And so you have a country that is now vulnerable, but that vulnerability doesn't seem to affect their point of view in regard to the direction that they're trying to go. They are going to go back after Iran. I would bet my left testicle on it, as people would say.
Yeah. Well, the interesting, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. But the interesting thing is, when they entered into the ceasefire, they basically begged, Trump to.
Yes.
They said that they viewed this as being what they called the Lebanon model, right? Which is, we'll enter into a ceasefire, the other side will respect it, and we will bomb the crap out of them whenever we feel like it. And there's not a damn thing they're going to do to retaliate against us. So that was what, 4 weeks ago?
Good luck with that.
Yeah, they have not struck Iran once militarily since then. And we don't even know of any kind of terrorist attack within Iran since then that was orchestrated by the Mossad or CIA or whoever. And so right now they seem to be trapped between fear and hubris. They really, really, really want to destroy Iran. And eventually they're going to find a way to resume. And I just woke up this morning, read a press report that Trump is threatening to bomb Iran again. Yes. I haven't seen the threat, but I saw a headline, if they revive their nuclear program.
It's on social media. Iran, Arghachi, I think is the foreign minister of Iran. He was on Brett Baer. I hate these interviews when Iran does interviews. It grates against my American sensibilities. Americans don't talk in the way that Iranians do. And so you would never have a situation where an American would try to justify their nuclear program. We're a sovereign country, we can do whatever we want. It would just be that. And every word that would drip out of that politician's mouth would be, we're a sovereign country, we do what we want. That is not the way Iran discusses these matters. I don't even think he mentioned sovereignty. He mentioned national pride. And it's like, it has nothing to do with pride. You're a sovereign country, own it. That's besides the point. He effectively pointed out, we are not stopping our nuclear program. Full stop. We're not doing it. This is our right. This is now a matter of national pride. And I think if he really went into it, what he would say is, the moment that we stop doing the program because you guys are threatening us, well, you can get us to do anything. The moment I give you my lunch money, well, I mean, what else can you take from me at that point, right? I've already given you the benefit of showing you that I would give you my lunch money out of fear. And so Iran can't accept this premise of, okay, we'll stop this, because the very next thing behind it will be, and we need your missile program to, be diminished also. The threat can always compel behavior if you indeed accept the first threat. So they were very clear, we're not stopping our program. Trump comes back with the Twitter or social media or True Social. We will bomb you again if we need to.
Good luck with that, Donald. I actually, when I was in Tehran last month for the So Media Festival, we had, there were 7 or 8 of us, including Max Blumenthal, some other independent journalists who were invited to go to the research reactor in Tehran and meet with the spokesperson of the Iranian Atomic Energy Organization. And we were given a tour of the facility, first of all. And it was explained to us, we were shown all the impressive things they were doing with this research reactor to develop essential medical products. And then, in our meeting, it was explained to us by the spokesperson for the Atomic Energy Agency that even according to the IAEA, a significant portion of a country's, to have a properly balanced energy system should come from nuclear energy. I think it was something like 15 or somewhere between 15 and 20% of the electricity generation should come from nuclear energy, according to the IAEA. Iran, it doesn't have infinite resources of oil. And by the way, Western governments have done everything possible to destroy its ability to actually extract and refine oil through the sanctions. So it is actually, there are legitimate reasons for every country. If you're going to say only countries that, don't have abundant oil can have nuclear energy, well, what is the United States doing with nuclear energy? The United States has huge reserves of oil. I think it has the biggest producer of oil today, if I'm not mistaken. Is certainly one of the largest oil producers in the world.
We are.
So why they not only have nuclear energies for civilian purposes, the United States has the second largest nuclear arsenal in the world and is the only country to have ever used it. So unfortunately, I agree with your assessment about Iranian government officials doing interviews with the Western media. They tend to leave a bad taste in my mouth.
I hate it, man.
They just, like you said, they don't deal with the press the way they're not attack dogs.
Possession interview with Tucker Carlson was horrible. People can disagree with me on it. I thought it went horribly awry. Argacci, in his conversation with Bret Baier was like, "You're supporting the axis of resistance." Now, to be fair, he actually was strong on that point. He's like, "Yeah, we're not changing that. Why? I mean, they're freedom fighters. It's like Israel is murdering all of these people. What? Like, you're out of your mind right now? Is that really the conversation you're having with me?" But it's not like Lavrov. It's not like interviewing Lavrov. Lavrov is really good, right? He punches when he needs to punch. He's sarcastic when he needs to be sarcastic.
He's the best in the business, man. He's the best in the business. He can take on anybody.
So good. Yeah. That's not the way they do interviews, though. And it always aggravates me. And then it's like, we're trying to have a moral war. And it's like, okay, dude.
It's funny. The unofficial, spokesperson for Iran's foreign ministry. I'm not suggesting there's any kind of like a control being exercised here, but is Mohammad Marandi, the professor of the University of Tehran. I think he's clearly an independent actor because he was just asked actually about that interview with Tucker Carlson that the Iranian president did, and he was quite critical of the Iranian president's performance. So he's an independent actor. I think that's clear. But man, he's done an extraordinary job for the Iranian people of doing what the government should be able to do, and that is to make the case for the Iranian people. He just and there nobody, Piers Morgan, nobody can touch Mohammad Marandi. It's amazing to watch.
Marandi is good. Marandi is really good. Yeah, Marandi is really good. He has been a fantastic voice to explain what is taking place, why it's taking place. He is feisty when he needs to be, like when he's going after Piers Morgan and the two going at each other. No, he's good. He's really good. He's been a really good friend of the show. He's been very nice in coming on and explaining that stuff. So, Dimitri, man, I've appreciated this interview. I really have. And from your mouth to God's ears, I hope there is punishment for what Israel is doing. I hope they do fall apart. But, one of the things that Bret Baier said, he was like, do you think it's right that they're saying that Israel shouldn't exist? And it's like, dude, for one, no country has a right to exist. Like, that's not God-given, right? You make your rights. Two, if there was a right, you relinquished it at the point where you're committing a genocide. Yeah. Like, you've lost me. Like, how can you really make that argument we should exist after killing all of these people in the most horrific and crude ways?
Yeah,
I hope you're right.
And by the way, if it were up to me, I never would have allowed Germany to reunify. In fact, they should have broken that country into 100 damn pieces, as far as I'm concerned, after what it did during the Second World War. The German people should consider them very, very fortunate to have a state. Well,
you have people who look like hardcore Nazis right now agitating once again against Russia. They don't have the military capability of doing anything yet, but they have a big mouth. They have a very big mouth.
Yeah.
And so, Dimitri, thank you for this, man. I always appreciate these conversations. I deeply appreciate you joining me, Dimistri Lascaris. He is a lawyer, journalist, activist from Montreal, Quebec. 2020, Dimitri ran for the leadership of the Green Party of Canada, and he is host of Reason to Resist. Check him out. We were just talking earlier about, what do you call it, a weekly rant?
Yes.
What you call it?
Rant of the week.
Rant of the week. You have a good one, man. You be safe, okay?
Take care.